Now let us discuss VHDL related sequential statements. As we know that in VHDL programming language as a hardware description language, there are different types of statements available. Since the language supports sequential as well as procedural programming approach, concurrent approach, so there are different categories of statements. So for sequential programming purpose, there are specific sequential statements available in VHDL. All these sequential statements actually start with the process statement. So VHDL process statement plays very important role. Process statement is by default concurrent in nature. It can be used for combinational process as well as sequential process writing. The syntax of process statement contains sensitivity list, declarative part, sequential statement section. The process statement is very similar to the classical programming language. The code inside the process statement is executed sequentially. The process statement is declared in the concurrent section of the architecture. So two different processes are executed concurrently. So like in a, for example, in program like counter design, so you can have reset and clock related some process which we want to execute in the beginning part, as maybe a synchronous reset or some assumptions we want to do. Then you can have that process separately, and below that you can have your main process of actual counter. So that way we will have some examples. At that time you will understand that process, you can have multiple processes you can write. In general, the syntax as far as considered, then there will be process label, process keyword, and into bracket sensitivity list. Then there may be some sort of declarations if required, then begin, and then there are statements, then end the process every time, semicolon. Now in general, the sensitivity list is mandatory, otherwise you have to use wait statement. As far as sensitivity list is considered, then you can have list of all those elements which are declared in the as a part of your port map, and conventionally it is or preferably it is listed out that whichever are the input signals or the control inputs for which or with respect to which your process is going to become sensitive one, then all those signals are to be added in the sensitivity list. Then there comes a number of sequential statements which are used within process, procedure and functions. The signal assignment statements has unique properties when used sequentially. So statements like wait statement, assertion, report statement, signal assignment statement, variable assignment statement, procedure call statement, if statement, case, loop, next, exit, return and null. These are the most popular sequential statements. In coming three presentations, we will briefly discuss about the syntax of each and every statement. Now, in this first presentation, I have taken just first three statements. That is wait statement. So this is when you want to control the execution mechanism and you want to wait based on some requirement or based on some transaction or activity on particular signal. So conventionally the syntax is label, then wait keyword, sensitivity clause, and then condition clause. There are three forms of wait statement. One is wait for, like this one, wait for 10 nanoseconds, timeout clause, specific time delay you can mention. Second one is wait until, then maybe related to clocking or some other control signal related activity, or say there if there's something you want to control with that particular signal, like for example clock is equal to 1. This is a conditional clause and boolean condition you can specify. And then third one is wait until, where suppose I have written a greater than b and s1 or s2, something like that. Again the conditional clause and maybe boolean condition. And otherwise it may be something like wait on signal 1 comma signal 2. So sensitivity clause, any event on any signal is going to get or going to be responsible for terminating this wait, and it will come out. So like this you can have three forms of wait statement, that is wait for, wait until and wait on. Then there is assertion statement, so used for internal consistency check or some sort of error message generation. So syntax is label, assert, boolean condition, whatever you want to specify, then report string, and maybe a severity name, whichever severity you want to add, like maybe note, warning, error, failure. So these are default severities labels mentioned for assert. So here you can have assert A equal to B or C, assert J is less than I, report internal error, tell someone, something like this. Assert clock is equal to 1, report clock not up, severity is warning. So something like this you can add in your program whenever you want to assert something, or assertion is done with the help of this statement. Then there comes report statement. So whenever you want to indicate this is done or some sort of a error, so at that time as an used to output the message, so like report string severity name, and before that label, so like report finished pass 1, so default severity name is note, report inconsistent data, severity is failure, something like this. So the next presentation we will go for some other statements, like whichever we have listed one by one we will complete all of them.